All right, there we go. So hi everyone. First things first, some introductions. We've got 4 of our staff here, and we're going to have everyone introduce themselves. I'll go first. My name's Adam Hoyt. I'm the head coach of the men's and women's swimming diving team here at Tufts. This is my 19th season coaching at Tufts. Love it here. Live a couple blocks from the pool with my wife Brooke. I've got a 7-year-old daughter Ray, 6-year-old son Jude, and continue to love Tufts through and through, top to bottom. Have made my life all around it. I'm going to hand it off now to our associate head coach, Norie Hammond. Norie, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Norie Hammond. I'm in my 2nd year here at Tufts as the associate head coach. I've coached all over the country, from New Jersey, South Carolina, Florida, California, and Connecticut, and now back up here in New England at Tufts. Pretty much help out with everything: workout writing, scheduling, swimming lessons, team management, social media, and obviously recruiting.
Great.
Alrighty, hi. Sorry. Hi, my name is Megan Claflin. I'm the full-time assistant swimming and diving. This is my 1st year at Tufts. I've coached 2 different club teams in the New England area. I'm from the North Shore, Massachusetts. And so far at Tufts, I'm working with both the men's and the women's teams, keeping an eye on, obviously, their swimming and learning about diving, as well as the strength conditioning, and getting to know the students and their lives both in and away from the pool. So far, I love it, and I can't imagine a better place to be.
And I'll jump in. I am Coach Brad. I coach the divers. This is my 30-something year. I'm not sure what, but I've been coaching Tufts for a long time. I've also coached at Boston University, Northeastern, and at MIT. And what can I say? I love Tufts. I was a Tufts graduate in biology a few years ago, many years ago. But I love the team. I love the coaches. Don't love the facility, but we're working on that. Yeah.
Thanks, coaches. Yeah, definitely feel privileged to work with some of the best in the business, both swimming and diving. In addition to the coaches you see on our Zoom here, we do have 2 to 3 strength coaches who work with our program. We have 2 sports med staff who oversee, the men and the women separately. We've been working a bit with a sports psychologist as well. So a lot of great resources here. We have 3 part-time swim coaches who work with our team members in the evenings during their double sessions, and they come to some of our meets. We also have 2 part-time assistant dive coaches. So a lot of resources. Really lucky to receive that sort of funding from our university, and it helps everybody to reach their goals. So jumping in a little bit to our philosophies, our values, those are some of the questions that some of you all proposed. I would say our values very much fit kind of the values of the university. Our mission as to how we're helping our athletes improve also fits the mission of the university. Tufts is a very holistic, collaborative learning environment. I wouldn't say our students are overloaded with work. They tend to want to challenge themselves, so they tend to overload themselves. But Tufts very much views learning and our students' education as not just occurring in the labs or the classroom or the library, but also occurring through athletic life, through the dorm life, through the social life, and through other clubs and extracurriculars and philanthropic activities. So it's very kind of holistic approach to your development as a human. We share a similar philosophy on the team. We take a holistic approach to coaching. We want to help you be the best athlete you can be, but also be the best student you can be, and really enjoy your 4 years at Tufts and be able to experience a whole lot. We do a great job, I think, getting to know our athletes really well, getting to know what motivates them, getting to know what stresses them out, getting to know what they really care about. Family is a big part of our program. I care deeply about my own family, and I know our other coaches care deeply about theirs. And really, our team is our second family. So we understand that as an athlete, all of those different areas of your life really impact your ability to swim fast or dive really well. So we like to support all those areas, and we really value relationships. I would say when it comes to values, it's about, respect, honesty, maintaining integrity, and really growing relationships through taking the time to get to know one another. We feel like that helps keep our sports fun, keep them exciting, keep people motivated. When you have that level of trust and care, that's reciprocal between, athlete and coach, or coach and athlete. We feel like great results come from those things. As far as on the boards or in the pool, we really feel like there are 3 areas that help our athletes excel. They excel when they come to the pool with a high level of focus, when they put in a high level of effort, and have a great attitude doing those things. I believe most coaches talk a lot about focus, effort, and attitude. I tend to feel that those things can be greatly impacted by a coach. The better we get to know you as an athlete and what helps get you excited about being at the pool, the higher your level of focus is, the higher level effort and the better attitude you're going to have. Writing productive and effective workouts and making the most use of our time when we are at the pool is paramount in our process. But that demands knowing our athletes really well, and allowing them to collaborate on their training plan, and what type of work they are, doing in the pool. So we take responsibility for having, providing our athletes with that high level of focus, help encourage them to have that high level of effort and great attitude. It's very much a 50-50, collaboration on those sorts of things. So while I could go on and on about, my philosophy, I guess the last thing I'd say about it is, my background as a coach really started with just my education. I was most focused on school and worked really hard at swim. My mom was a teacher. So as I pursued coaching, it wasn't to win championships. It was to help people get better. And it's really fun to be in a place where if our athletes are getting better, we're competing and winning championships. So that's a little bit on the touchy-feely side, on the philosophical side, but I think it's important to understand what sort of values that a team embraces, and ours is very much about those great relationships and friendships between athletes and coaches, and even our alumni groups and extended family. So I'm going to pause there and hand this off to Coach Brad to talk a little bit about our diving philosophy, a little bit about the divers training schedule, preseason, in-season, postseason, a little bit about what they focus on when they're on the boards. So go right ahead,
Sure.
Brad.
Thanks, Adam. So what can I tell you? I don't think I have one specific dive philosophy. I do think diving is the most important thing in the world to me, next to my family, of course. But it's only because diving has done, has made things in my life. It's made things go so well. I was thinking about, my divers are always struggling to find the time to do their studies and their social life and their diving, and try to make everything work. And I've found over the years that they all do better when they're in season. And that's the same for me. I'm happier when I'm coaching than when I'm not coaching. For whatever reason, the fight to make ends meet keeps my divers on their feet. So it's definitely a struggle trying to balance out school, social life, and diving. But they always do better when they're competing and when they're practicing than when they're not. My philosophy ends up being whatever whatever you need as a diver. I have divers on our team that are national qualifiers, and hopefully we'll go to nationals this year. And also have some divers that came in as freshmen with not so much experience. And the only thing that everybody has in common is that they want to be really good. They're trying to be the best they can be, and they're trying to move up from whatever space they're in, even if that's national champion. They're trying to move on to an even higher place in the sport. I only coach diving, supposedly, but like Adam said, we care about everything that's happening in your life, especially school, especially your social life. And if we, you might be going to nationals, who knows? But if you're not doing well in school, or you're not doing well outside of school, then things are not, things aren't right. So we're really conscious of all of the things that make you work as a person, and make school work for you. And that's something we talk about and deal with every single day. The nuts and bolts of it for diving, like I said, I don't love our facility at Tufts, but we do have one. We have a 1 meter board, and we use that maybe once or twice a week. But the majority of our practices happen over at MIT. MIT has a terrific pool. We've been using that for the last 10 plus years. And the only downside is we have to schlep over there by van. So less than ideal, but it makes our program work. Fabulous facility, 2 1 meters, 2 3 meters, and some platforms. And so we can get a lot of work done over there. As divers, you will dive at least 4 nights a week, sometimes 5 over at MIT. You'll also, as I said, practice at Tufts once or twice a week. You'll also lift 3 times a week, which I think Adam will probably talk about more. Let's see. I'll say, very briefly, we do captain's practices in the fall. We start coached practices in earnest by November 1, and then our championship season wraps up in March. So it's a long season, but we get a lot of work done, and you can really transform yourself from wherever you are today to a much higher level in literally in 1 year, and let alone in 4 years. I don't know, Adam, does that give enough of the dive program right now?
Yeah, that's a great start, Brad. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to ask Coach Norie if you could just talk a little bit about our strength program. I know, the coaches on the call aren't coaching the strength program, but we do collaborate with our strength coaches. And Norie's been a big part of that. Would you mind just speaking a little bit to our time in the weight room and kind of what we're doing in there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the weight room is really awesome. It used to be the general fitness center for the entire school population, but a couple of years ago, they built a new fitness center and converted the old one into the varsity weight room, which is just now for varsity athletes. It's got a turf section, a whole new side that has like 18 brand new racks. We love weight room training. The kids lift 3 times a week all year round. So they start as soon as they get back to campus or arrive on campus. The beginning, we will do a lot of teaching. So the weight coaches will get in there and show anyone who hasn't done our program before how to go through and do the exercises. And then basically throughout the year, we're on 5-week cycles. So it will be 4 weeks of work with a week of rest and mobility, and then cycled through different phases throughout the season. One of the other things we really love about the weight room and the lifting sessions are their gendered practices. So while we swim, some of our days mix together. In the weight room, it's always men's team and women's team, and the swimmers and divers lift together. We do have different programs for sprint, mid, distance, and diving. Obviously, you're going to be a little bit more explosive with the sprint and the diving, whereas we'll do a little bit different for mid and distance, obviously based on what's required for sort of the specialty of each of the individuals. There's always 2 to 3 weight room coaches in the weight room with you, a full time, and then we have interns and grad assistants who are also down there as well. So it's a great way to start your morning. Most of our lifts happen right in the morning before our classes, before our swims. So we get up, we have a great lift session, and it's a great way to start the day with your team. We go all year round. So even now, the strength program, our coaches have provided workouts for our athletes while they're on Christmas break. And that will happen throughout the entire year as well, even when we're out of season. The kids really enjoy the weight room, and it's something that obviously is important in providing aquatic strength. So we work with those strength trainers. I'm constantly sending them videos, and we're talking about different ideas on how to incorporate swimming movements into the weight room. And they're just a great resource. They're even the strength coaches who don't have a swimming background want to know more about swimming. And the weight programs the last couple of years have just really exploded, and we've seen a lot of gains both on the boards and in the pool from that program.
Thanks, Coach. It's awesome. We like the weight room. It's fun. The coaches there bring a lot of energy and enthusiasm in those mornings, and I think our athletes really appreciate that. So talking a little bit about swim training and just some of the X's and O's within our program. This year we have 80 athletes on the team. It's pretty big. And next year we'll probably look to have more like between 70 and 75. We actually graduate 24 men and women this year. It's a huge senior class, over just about a third of the team, 15 women, 9 men. Our typical recruiting classes are around 8 to 10 on the higher side, below 8 on the lower side. We are carrying 12 divers this year, right, Brad? Yep. So we've got a big dive team. So happens our senior class is made up of 6 divers, which is pretty cool. So certainly some big voids to be filled next year, but we do carry a big team. And we do believe that the size of our team adds to the experience and adds to our athletes' ability to improve themselves and to really find support within the group. Always someone you're going to connect with easily, and always somebody else on the team that's going to challenge you a little bit. Both, I think, are exactly what you should be looking for in a college team, as long as everyone falls under the same kind of umbrellas of values. As far as swim training, we're 6 days a week in the water, pretty much all season long. We kind of build up through the preseason into the start season. This year we started our first day of official team practice was October 22nd. But that's not when we start getting into shape. That's when we really start training. So our athletes are in shape over the summer, and they're getting in shape at the first kind of part of the season. We are 6 days, we go 2 hours in the water a day. We don't require doubles within our program. We do run double sessions Monday through Thursday night for an hour. Coach Megan runs kind of more of a sprint focused double on Friday mornings. They're optional because we believe the key in being successful is balance. If you're a miler, you need to do doubles, and our milers do doubles. If you're sprint, mid distance, It's not always necessary. It really depends on your academic schedule, your ability to manage your workload and get sleep and keep your stress levels in the right place and focus on nutrition and things like that. We do split up into different training groups. Some days we'll have stroke groups. Probably our most common split is sprint, middle, and distance groups. But we do hit IM 2 days a week. We'll hit stroke at least 2 days a week. And then we do a lot of choice swimming in preset. Fridays for us tend to be sometimes recovery, but also sometimes a bit of a grab bag, depending on what point in the season we're in. Sometimes we push recovery over to a Wednesday if we need it earlier in the week. And again, it depends on what we're seeing out of the athletes in the water. So we do try to make the work specific. But as far as what training group you're in as an athlete on the team, that's just a conversation you might have with me, Coach Norie, or Coach Megan. Just because your best times are in certain events, we don't make assumptions about how we need to train you for those events. It's always a conversation and always a collaboration between athlete and coach. Our meet schedule, we're part of the NESCAC conference, New England Small College Athletic Conference. There are 11 schools within our conference. We're not required to race them all on our dual meet schedule. So most of our meets are local. We try not to go too far for travel. We are allowed 11 dates of competition in our regular season. Then we have our 4-day conference championship. We travel the entire roster to all of our meets with the exception of our conference championship, which is just limited to a roster of 24 athletes. So we'll be making those decisions about our conference team towards the end of January this year. For those athletes who don't attend the conference championship, we do have a shave and taper meet at Boston University called the Boston Winter Open, 3 sessions, 2-day meet. We did rest and suit up for the MIT Invitational in December. So for our swimmers, they're getting an opportunity to go fast at a minimum, at 2 big meets a year. And then last year, I believe we had 24 athletes. I think it was 24 who qualified for the national championship. So they got a 3rd meet to go fast, and they did. It was awesome. We do take a training trip. We'll be leaving on January 2nd, or I should say arriving in South Florida on January 2nd. Down there, we're lifting, swimming, diving, usually around 9 workouts a week. We fund that trip through our community swim lesson program. Our athletes teach some community swim lessons in the preseason, in the fall and September. And they also teach some swim lessons in the spring and April. So we see it as a great opportunity for our athletes to give back to the community. I mean, somebody taught you how to swim, someone taught you how to dive. Pretty special to give that skill back to somebody else. So that's a big part of funding our training trip. We also, over the past 3 years, well, I should say each of the past 3 years, we've received donations from friends and family of Tufts Swimming and Diving, over $100,000 every year. So that pays for our championship suits, pays for part of the training trip, other team apparel and equipment. We run a team where our goal is to have you be able to participate on our team and not have it cost you or your family, any more money than you're already paying to attend Tufts. Training trip is definitely a highlight of the year. Really helps form some great bonds, and we do expect 100% participation out of our team with regard to our training trip. Coach Norie, am I missing anything on kind of the training side, or anything you want to add into that?
No, I think you hit it all there, Coach. I would just reiterate that it's a really collaborative process as far as the swimming side goes. We, as Coach said earlier, the main principles that we like to focus on are focus, effort, and attitude. So, just having a collaborative conversation with the athletes about, their how they like to train, how best we can train you. That way that when you're coming to practice, you have that high level of focus, you're engaged in what the training is, you know why we're doing it, and you're really excited to put in the best effort you can.
Thanks, Coach. And I would say, Brad, I feel like, I've been fortunate to watch Brad coach and interact with our divers and our swimmers for that matter over all 19 of my years. And I think one of the things that's really unique and awesome about our program is that all the coaches really share a similar philosophy at their core. And I've got to imagine, Brad, when you're working with the divers, it's very much a collaboration. I know it is, but would you speak to that a little bit? Because I think it's pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, we divers come to Tufts at very different levels, but we're all, and I guess on the team itself, I don't have a lot of rules, but I'm hoping everybody will be really competitive. I mean, that's probably the most important thing. In the best sense of the word. I want you to push your teammates, and I want your teammates to push you. And we have, as Adam said, we have 2 assistant coaches, but we also have everybody on the team, and everybody on the team participates in that teaching and learning as well. Sometimes they have to because they might not have a coach on deck, but that's not a common occurrence. But I really encourage everybody to push and learn from each other. Often, I'm almost always calling someone out as an example of what they're doing right, and then often of what they're not doing right. And really, I think you tend to learn more from your peers than you will from me ultimately, anyway. So yeah, we have to be collaborative. And we're collaborative because it makes us successful. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Brad. Yeah, I enjoy hearing you talk on that. So moving forward into why you're all on this Zoom, our recruiting timeline, kind of guidelines, what we might expect to receive from you all. What you can receive from us. The recruiting process is very unique to each and every one of you as you start to identify your needs, your wants, your aspirations, what you think might be best for you. For us, we do have some recruiting standards. We ask athletes to have swum those standards in order to be considered for a roster spot on our team. It doesn't guarantee you a roster spot if you've swum those standards, but it does put you in a range for consideration. And if you haven't swum those standards, we're still happy to correspond with you via email, chat about your college search, because we know you're all out there wanting to get better and likely going to get better. So we're not here to tell anyone that they're not fast enough or they're not a good enough diver to be on our team, but we do have some ideas about the ability level that we're looking to recruit, where if you join the team, you really do have a meaningful experience that's special, where you feel like you can contribute, hopefully at the conference level and at the NCAA level. Throughout the course of this year, we'll correspond with all 2024 grads straight up until May or June. At that time, short course seasons are done across the country, and we start identifying kind of a smaller group of recruits who we feel like have the profile that we're looking to recruit into our program. At that point, we ask for kind of more academic info and hope to continue to get to know those folks better and identify and figure out whether or not, it's a right fit for them personally, but also academically. We look to bring in 8 to 10 recruits a year. Right now, we just had 5 men and 5 women admitted early decision 1. So we're a little bit smaller than our 8 to 10, but we know that the 10 men and women who we made commitments to, are going to be a great fit on our team. And we've got a number of other seniors we're still talking to, trying to fill out our roster with the right people. It's not just numbers. It's about us trying to find the right people. So if you're looking for feedback from us as to, where you fit into our recruiting process, come May, June of 2023, we're going to have a pretty good idea. And I can promise you that we'll be transparent and honest with you about where you stand. And if you're not in that top, group of recruits for us, we'll explain what we would need to see from you in order to end up in that group, which we have a lot of our recruits do, a lot of them over the summer, and then even early on senior year, post some pretty big swims, and it really changes their level of competitiveness within our recruiting process. In those 8 to 10 athletes on each class, typically we're looking to bring in one diver. I think our ideal dive team size would be 1 per class. So, 4 men, 4 women, 8 total divers. We've bumped up to 12 this year. We'll probably be more like 8, 9, 10 next year. So it does vary. Our school doesn't require us to keep a certain roster size, but our main focus is making sure our roster size makes sense for us being competitive. And it especially makes sense for the current athletes on the team, where you all can receive enough attention from the coaching staff, basically the amount of attention you really feel like you need to improve and have a really positive experience. We are able to support applications. I would say that, our swimmers and divers who are admitted that we fully support and commit roster spots to, their academic profile very much meets the majority of Tufts accepted student body academic profile. And the support we're able to lend them in is more so reassurance of their admission, so long as they keep their grades up. But that's something we can talk more specifically about on a case-to-case basis with each of you as you move through the process. But I would say, while it's important to post, great dive performances or fast swimming times, it's most important to show how great of a student you are for our application process. So keep up the good work in the classroom and throughout junior year, challenging yourself, taking those tough classes and really looking to perform well in those classes. So hopefully that covers a little bit of our timeline. We don't have walk-ons on our team. I know some coaches talk about walk-ons, but for our team, we look to fully support 100% of our class through the recruiting process, whether it be early decision 1, early decision 2, or regular decision, and assure them of a roster spot prior to making a final commitment to our school, rather than asking them to try out once they arrive on campus. And I will also say we do have a club swimming team at Tufts. Obviously, it's a bit different than the varsity swimming team, but they do compete in meets and they do train throughout the week. So there is that opportunity to pursue swimming, unfortunately not diving, but swimming at Tufts in that capacity. So it's a little bit about recruiting. We've got some questions that were submitted prior to this Zoom starting. So we're going to work through those. And then if there are things that might be on your mind that we haven't addressed or that you'd like to hear us clarify, just pop them into the chat. And Coach Megan's going to take a look at those, and she'll ask us kind of at the end of our session here any questions that we might have missed. But just to get us started, this first question is for Coach Norie. It's during our vacations and breaks, Thanksgiving break, winter break like we're on right now, what are athletes expected to do? What's the expectations on them?
Sure. Yeah. So we're in exams right now. So some of our athletes are still on campus. Some have already headed home. But during our breaks, we certainly provide workouts for our athletes to do while they're home, either with their old club teams or on their own. We don't take days off during the year unless we've had a meet that weekend. We have some built-in days off into our schedule, but as far as sort of like long weekend holidays and stuff like that, we expect our athletes to stay on campus if we have scheduled team practices on those days for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then in the summer, we of course expect our athletes to come back to the season or to the next season in the best shape that they can be to continue to compete and, you know, be the best athletes that they can be. So for now, over Christmas break, we've had the front half of our season. You know, we did a lot of strength building, we did a lot of power, we had some great racing, and now they've essentially got 2 weeks before we head to training trip in Florida. So the expectation is for them to continue to stay in the weight room and to continue to stay in the water. We provide them with those workouts, and the weight staff provides them with the workouts so that when we get to training trip, the amount of, you know, risk of injury is as low as possible because people have done what they're supposed to do and they've stayed in shape. We want to make sure that, you know, everyone is healthy and happy mentally and physically once their work is done. So really the expectation is just to not necessarily, like specifically for Christmas right now, not necessarily build more strength, but maintain the work that we've done and be prepared for the next phase, whatever that phase may be where we are in this season.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah, I would just add that I think swim, dive, our coaches think very much with regard to preparation, about physical preparation, but also, you know, mental preparation and balancing your lives in a way where you're entering, you know, different points of the season in the right place to be great for that point of the season. So, you know, over the summer, I would say our incoming first years are probably training and competing the most because they're still locked into their club teams and going to junior nationals and competing at YMCA nationals. And then if you were to look at our rising seniors on the team this year, we had like 8 of them training with the Harvard swim team over the summer. They did not race in meets. It was mostly higher volume aerobic training. A few of them were working at a hospital. We have others working for financial corporations, and they're trying to manage their different priorities of getting ready for another swim season and then also getting ready to apply and receive a great job offer or a great acceptance to, you know, graduate school. So as your time in college, you know, transitions and shifts, we as coaches look to find ways to really help you maintain that balance, but always be coming in to any part of our official season prepared really well to be your best. So it's just something constantly that our athletes are considering and thinking about. Next question was just, I was going to take these next two. One of them was, can you describe the type of student athlete who thrives at Tufts? And I would say, I could probably go on and on about this, but I would say, trying to be concise, the student athletes who thrive at Tufts tend to be intrinsically motivated. They tend to really know what they want and want to work at it. You know, our hope is always that you want to be a great diver, a great swimmer, whatever great means in your mind. But being able to kind of have that intrinsic motivation is really helpful. Being fairly good, I'd say all of our athletes are always working to be better at time management, but fairly good at time management, given, you know, our school size, given the close locale to downtown Boston, given the focus on active citizenship and community that our school has. The people who come tend to really want to do a whole lot here. And it's awesome because you never know your limits until you overextend yourself. and then you kind of pull back and then you overextend, and you pull back and you overextend, and your limits grow and you grow as a person and you get better. But there is a little piece of understanding the reality of managing that aspect of your life, so you don't spread yourself super thin across all areas, but you pick and choose and prioritize in a way where you can really do something special, whether it be academically, athletically, or extracurricularly, hopefully in all those areas. And then the last thing I'd say, like our staff is, we like to have fun. We bring a high level of enthusiasm, but we also we love sport. We love competition. We have great perspective. We understand it is sport. It's not surgery. It's not the courtroom, and it's not the stock exchange. We can fail, and we're going to get up and we're going to try again, because it's not life-threatening to fail at swim or dive. So we do have that perspective, and I think, you know, athletes who tend to thrive under our coaching tend to appreciate and value kind of that level of perspective, and understanding that you can be, you know, extremely competitive, but also have fun. Serious and competitive, I think, are two things that don't necessarily go hand in hand. You can be laid back and extremely competitive. And I'm sure some of you on the call are thinking, yeah, that's me. I'm pretty laid back, but I want to win. I want to go fast. I want to dive well. That's always what we're looking for on our team, that balance. And, you know, I believe our team has a really good balance with that. So that's what I would say about, you know, the type of students and student athletes that really thrive within our program. There was another question for me. Oh, goals for the team next season. I mean, I try not, of course I have goals for our team. I try not to really make them specific, because I think it maybe limits our ability. And I know it sounds a little bit corny, but if we set the bar here, who's to say we can't exceed that bar? And when you set a goal, it kind of sets a ceiling. But we're always looking to compete and win the NESCAC conference. It's not easy to do. We've done it once with the men, once with the women. Surely hoping we're going to do it again at some point, hopefully soon, hopefully real soon. But you know, we're always looking to be really competitive at the conference meet, and hopefully our best puts us in a position to win. And then at the national championships, I mean, me, Coach Norie, Coach Brad, Coach Megan, we kind of feel like sky's the limit. We've won some national titles over the past 10 years, some of which have been the first in our program's history. It's fun to do. It's fun to watch our athletes do that. We'd like to do more of that. We'd like to do it again. I'm a little bit of a kid at heart. Top 4 teams at NCAAs get a big trophy to take home, and all the athletes get a little trophy. And I think in this case, trophies are cool. So, you know, maybe at some point we'll be in a position to do something like that. But we tend to dream big here. But we're just the coaches. So the goals and the dreams need to be, you know, kind of, we plant the seeds, and then our athletes take it from there and position us to do whatever we're going to do. So I know I kind of jumped around, maybe avoided that one a bit, but that's what I think about goals. So Coach Norie, a couple questions. Well, I'll just hit you with one. Can you talk a little bit about our international swimmers? Just as far as, someone asked what the ratio was for international recruits in the team.
Sure. Yeah, so we carry about 4 to 8 international athletes, swimmers or divers on any given year. We don't have a set number. I would say it's about 1 to 8 if you're looking at total team size. But as far as the recruiting goes, we just look to take the best student athletes of that recruiting class for the team.
Thanks, Coach. And another one for Coach Norie. What, if any, are the team values? I know I spoke a bit to them, but you know, in the way you share, I'd love to hear you just kind of add your thoughts on team values, or what our values are.
Sure. Yeah. As Coach said before, and I mentioned a little bit earlier as well, you know, we certainly think the keys to success are focus, effort, and attitude. But I would say some of the core team values, if you follow our social media, whether that's on our Instagram or Friends of Tufts Swimming and Diving or the YouTube page, you'll see a lot of the hashtag that we use is one team. And that's not only our men and women's teams combined as one, but our swimmers, our divers. Swimmers cheer for divers, swimmers cheer for swimmers, divers cheer for divers, divers cheer for swimmers. We really, that one herd, one team mentality is one of our huge core values. And it's something that both the men's and women's team talk about year after year, of how we can connect the team, how we can connect those relationships. We have, different activities that the men's team and the women's teams, traditions that are passed down. So that's something that's really important to the athletes and really important to us. When we have that trust in each other, then that's where great things happen. So, having competitive excellence and creating training environments, as Coach Brad said as well, where athletes are competing on a day-to-day basis, but supporting each other in a safe way where, sometimes we're going to have bad days, sometimes we're going to have bad swims, but it's okay to do that, because on your bad day, you've got 79 people behind you who have your back. And, on somebody else's bad day, you've got their back. So I think one of the, the main things, I've had a really amazing career and gotten to work all over the country. But one of the main things that I find incredibly unique and special about this team is that one team philosophy. And it goes all the way from preseason to in season, and then out of season, the athletes stay in touch. They eat together, they hang out together. And it's just an alumni participation. It's just a really special program that way. And I think you can see it throughout the team.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. One last question for you, Coach. Could you just talk a little bit about official visits? You arranged a lot of our official visits this fall. Just talk a little bit about what that's like.
So fall of senior year, we will organize official visits for those who are seriously considering Tufts. And basically, I'll sort of ask the student athlete, what are you interested in studying? Hook you up with a host or two so that you can come and basically spend a day at Tufts, see what a day at Tufts University is like as a student athlete. If you want to get in the water, we, can offer that. You certainly don't have to, but visit the dining halls, visit the dorm rooms, go to a class in your area of interest in study, visit the different campus centers, and basically get the opportunity to spend a lot of time with the team. Most of the team hangs out in Duick Dining Hall for their meals, so there's always a couple swimmer tables that are together, swimmer diver tables. We'll schedule out a couple hours in the day sort of for a longer lunch so you can get to know different members of the team and sort of get to feel out the vibe. And then, of course, meet with the different coaches, whether you're, diving, meet with Coach Brad, or swimming, meet with one of us. We also, spring of junior year, we'll do phone calls and share information that way as well. Obviously, right now we're doing our junior day, and we try to keep information. We love staying in touch through emails and phone calls. Once we sort of get that ball rolling, but we really look to those official visits during the fall of the senior year.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah, I just add to that we do have some people who will come for a day visit in the spring to get to know our team a bit better, but we're pretty limited on the number of official visits we can offer. So they are selective, and we do invite recruits to come and join those. I have had recruits ask to come. We can't always accommodate everyone. Obviously, our team's time is pretty limited, as is our coach's time. So as we move through the process. We'll certainly let you know more about, steps that might make the most sense for you, given kind of where you land in our recruiting process with regard to visits. Something I realized I didn't really touch on, but is worth saying, as far as our expectations of our recruits and the recruiting process, we love getting email updates. It's great to hear how your season's going. We're not looking for a required email once every 2 weeks, every week, once a month. It's really like share information with us when you're excited or you have something that you feel like speaks a bit about who you are as a person and as an athlete. So, we don't need a certain amount of contact or, expect a certain amount of contact. We just kind of expect that if you're excited and interested about Tufts, you're going to stay in touch with us and be curious to get to know us better. So that's what I'd say about kind of expected contact. I will say that, myself and Coach Norie kind of direct our recruiting for both our swimmers and our divers. Megan helps support our recruiting. Coach Brad helps support our recruiting, but we're kind of the first points of contact for both swimming and diving. So hopefully that answers a couple of those questions. Last couple of questions. I know we're running short on time here. Do you set personal goals for your swimmers? I do not. I like to hear, obviously I have dreams for all of them. I don't call them goals. I just dream about how great they could possibly be. But the goals they kind of set for themselves. And I really encourage them to think about goals in a framework of what they need to do to be better. How much better they're going to be, we never know. If you all get 8 hours of sleep a night, how much will that impact your swimming or diving? We don't know. It's yet to be seen if you're not doing that. Same thing with nutrition, same thing with positive self-talk or having a high level of focus in practice, things like that. So our swimmers will have goal times, performance goals. We like to hear about them. We'll talk to them about them, but we're constantly kind of directing them towards the process and all those different things that impact their ability to perform really well. And then one more recruiting question was just, are there certain, specific areas of the team we look to recruit and specifically in this class of 2024? I'd say right now, if you were to look at, our profile as a team, we're a pretty well-rounded team with national cuts in the majority of the swimming events and plenty on both sides of diving. So we're really looking just for the best athletes that we can possibly recruit, best team members that we can recruit. We look to have a class that's fairly well balanced, across different events. Obviously, the majority events are 200 yards and down. So sprint mid distance is always a big priority for us, but doesn't mean we're not looking to have, the best distance group in the conference either. So, I think I hit all the preliminary questions. Coach Megan, were there any other questions in the chat that we might have missed?
We just have one in here about whether long course times will factor into recruiting as well as short course.
Yeah, I would say for our international recruits, long course times are everything. But for our US swimmers, we look at long course times as an opportunity for you to show us improvement. It can make a big difference. It rarely hurts our recruits. We know it's a very short season. So, we're not necessarily looking, having certain expectations of those performances. We kind of look at long course as only going to help strengthen, our swimmers' profiles, unless we really see some kind of outlying times that would lead us to be concerned about somebody's commitment to their swimming. So we definitely pay attention to them, and they can definitely help make a difference. I don't think we have anything else. Anything else, Coach Megan?
Nope, Coach, you got them all. That was the only one.
All right. Coach Brad, Coach Norie, anything else you want to add?
I would just say, to all the swimmers and divers, it's obvious that the swim coaches and I have all drunk the Kool-Aid of Tufts, and we're converts, we're sold, but schools like like athletic programs, they're not for everybody. You know, football is not for everybody. Swimming and diving is not necessarily for everybody. And Tufts is the same. We think it's a wonderful place and it's a fantastic school, but it may not be the best fit for everybody. But if it's a good fit for you, let us know that. That's really important to us too.
Well said, Coach. Yeah, the last thing I would say is, you know, as you gather information about your schools, if you do feel like Coach Brad said, where Tufts may be a great fit for you, I'd really encourage you to try to get on campus, you know, at some point between now and the end of your junior year. That in-person visit, while it's great to fall in love with a coach, a team, you know, you need to fall in love with the campus, you need to fall in love with the academic curriculum and just the general gut feel and the vibe for when you're here, because it is a special place. Just like all the other colleges and universities are really special, and you just got to kind of figure out which one's going to be best for you. But really appreciate y'all spending the time with us this evening. I will post this recording up to YouTube. Coaches, I appreciate you being on here as well. 2024s, keep up the good work in school and keep us updated on your progress. And hopefully we'll see a bunch of you on Wednesday.